This is going to be great. Just watch, and you'll see. It's the intro.
To celebrate the twisted holidays. I've been celebrating for
SunDragon.
reverse holidays for quite a while.
Solar Red Dragon.
But I don't think yet I've celebrated the reverse Halloween. You've got a twist. I'm taking these gifts, and I'm taking this Perseus quest too. Putting on that Jade helmet, which is actually the Hades helmet, for invisibility. Gonna use those winged slippers of Hermes, twist most justice, twist majestus, twist ingesting, and of course, the bronze shield of mirroring to decapitate some Medusa alumni. This is the formula. You'll find in it a little bit of the recipes involved in this process that seems to be coming along, and maybe you too can participate. Please advise.
There comes a time in your life when you just have to create the monster, be the monster, and just disempower the whole other side altogether, and write the narrative yourself. And if it must be that way, or the other, so be it. When the beast resists you, as it will, most doubtlessly, you should tell it, stop resisting! Stop it, and you struggle harder, you smash its face, you release the Kraken, then you shatter that motherfucker with the fucking Medusa head. You do both. Before it even phase you, you release it upon yourself, the part of the world, then you crush it. It's all you. It's all inside of you.
It's next level. It's quite immaterial. Don't drive you son of a bitch. It's resisting. It's trying to. It's trying to.
Sect. And, you were jumping through. Persecution would follow for the slightest thing. Breaking a window,
He's one of your greatest thinkers.
It's just extraordinary, that. It really, really is. And he fought all his life against that kind of injustice.
Michael Zarian.
Michael, I have a quote here, and then I'd like to take things to maybe kind of analyzing Blake's art and this sort of thing. And you have a few examples in your article, in fact, Blake's physical art. But before we get there, you've used a word which some of us might not be familiar with. That you've said that Blake is a hermeticist. Can you explain that if we're unfamiliar?
Yes, it's very important because, like Swedenborg, all of these different thinkers, and including those German mystics we talked about earlier, these would be people like Jakob Böhm, Meister Eckhart, Nicholas Cusa. One of the big problems I see is, and it also happened with Jung. When Jung wrote his Red Book and a couple of other works, he immediately was labeled a Gnostic. There's a whole school out there promoted by a Gnostic leader called Stefan Haller. I like reading his work, but he went too far. He tried to see, they all tug and pull at a great man. And they said, you're a Gnostic. And I go, well, we've got this arm hanging here and you got the rest of it. And so there is a danger that a Berkeley is a subjective idealist, like you're ever going to work that what that is. Immanuel Kant, transcendental idealist. pull the other one, right? And then the definition goes on and on and on. And so this categorization is bad for all thinkers, but it's catastrophe when you talk about Blake. And so hermeticist is about as general as you're going to get. Now, and it's accurate, because a hermeticist is really one who's an esotericist who does not deny the value of the earth. He doesn't devalue earthly existence, life, the body. Buddhism at the core is Gnostic. It denies the body. They're very cunning about it because they knew it didn't work, so they shifted the chairs, which in Buddhism is dead easy to do because there's millions of different kinds of Buddhism and many kinds of scriptures and texts and books. So when that doesn't work, you just keep going like that until you get something for an ear. They go, oh, that's just lovely. But when you read deep down in Hinduism and all of these paths, you find the Gnostic core, which is not good. It's unhealthy. And the same is with lots of religion. The religious dogma, including the Bible. St. Paul is completely Gnostic. It's obvious when you know what you're looking at. Judaism, aspects of that are very, very Gnostic because they purged anybody who wasn't. And that problem has continued up to the present day. Now, the trouble is that Gnosticism, Judaism, Pauline Christianity have nibbled and stolen and appropriated and cannibalized hermetic elements. Put it in, like pepper and salt into a dish. And so in the end, nobody is going to want to take tweezers. Well, you can't. It's all mixed into the dish. So my life study from the 80s has been to, I don't care. I'm going to try and do it anyway. And I've gone in with the tweezers to try and pluck out the Gnostic elements, or let's put it the other way, pluck out the hermetic elements that belong in a separate category, uncontaminated by, the porridge of Gnosticism. It's a thankless task, right? But on Enslaved, I've got 2 programs on Gnosticism in the premium section for people. And then, again, after many, many years and because of support from members, finally got that one off the shelf, and it's definitive. I mean, anybody coming away from that should really get the point about Gnosticism and the negatives. But at least they'll understand the thinking of a Gnostic. It's deranged thinking. It's what I call mysteria, thinking about things that are unreal, living in our ideas about a thing, and not double checking those ideas to see if they're relevant. And maybe that they're irrelevant. Maybe they clash up against other things you need to know. This is where Blake comes in himself. I'm asking you to think about your thinking, and wonder whether your thinking about your thinking is in some sense deranged. And in my younger years, 5 and 6 years old, we hung around in Lambeth and in South Molton Street in London, where Blake hung out. And so I was very deeply caught up. The one positive thing of any sort of parental background there was I was exposed to certain of these great names. And then I took it on further. But his stomping grounds and the bookshops he visited in those days, were familiar to me. So that I learned a great deal about that and his art, as you say. Again, apologies to people reading the articles. I sometimes use the same pictures over and over again, but there's a good reason for that. There's a good reason for that because they become iconic, and you'll not forget them. If you see the same paintings and then see the description, you'll sort of remember them. Oh yeah, I know what Michael said about that painting, and it just helps coalesce and consolidate some of the bizarre, because this thinking is not normal. Hermetic thinking of this nature, and I stay very true to what Blake is talking about, isn't really natural because of all the the schooling of those satanic mills that we've had. So I try to make it simpler rather than bombard people with all of everything to do with Blake. I just try to center upon a couple of the most important things. And then if you're reading a George Berkeley or somebody else, it'll gel. If you're reading Jung, there'll be a cross-pollination. Go, oh, didn't Blake say that? And the journey starts from there. But if you bombarded anyone in a book or an article with all...
This is fabulous. Check this out. Let's start it back over. This is a wonderful idea.
And today is Halloween, and we are shutting down the multiple using
They'll need that though,
technology.
but they'll need it.
The Illuminati and the elite billionaires, etc., using the Earth's quantum wave function, which is tuned to shut down the elite and kill Zion.
Mother Earth will bite them. bite them in their neck, bite them from within, and send them straight to heck. Hecate their queen, or Diablo their most lord. Stab 'em with their steely knives and hammer to the floor. A little psychic warfare, coupled with spiritual warfare. I support this message. I attach my crystal to my assemblage point and participate whenever possible. Like later today, definitely today. Re-engineer your Karens. Re-engineer your elites. You pull the thread on them. Just pull the thread. If you want to destroy that sweater, pull that thread and then run away. Fucking run away. Light their picture in the southern quarter. Light them on up. Use the stick to get the ashes away. You don't want to mess up the other shit. Fantastic use. This is the proper use of the chessboard and what? The augram diagram. The augram diagram and the maze. The magnetic earthbound maze. You can get it all week. This is the pancake breakfast. We do it every month. It's the pancake breakfast. That's fantastic.
Poison, illness, viruses, plagues, violence of all kinds, everything having to do with the unconscious sociopath. I mean, this is a great depiction of her. You know, this, her, she's headless, she's obviously lifeless, but her eyes have this, even though her eyes have no awareness, her eyes bring death, but she's clearly not conscious. This is the perfect depiction of a sociopath.
Yes.
Somebody that has no awareness.
It's actually furthermore to say this is a continuing theme of this narcissism. Now, and I joke, but I'm being dead ass serious. My friend that I refer to as coming and having that heavy ass energy that just started to flood the area. Now, I don't know where she is in her travels, and I know she's gone from a state of not even close to aware up to being interested in some of these things, because over long periods of time I did show her some things about this, because I do believe she would have gotten it from her mom too. But I would joke that she was Medusa before. Now, Medusa, before Medusa becomes Medusa, was a princess who thought she was the prettiest of them all, and, is cursed to become Medusa on that fact. But in fact, there are 3 Medusas. There's 3 Gorgons. There's Gorgana, which is, that's Alexander's sister. That's number 1. Medusa, that's Gorgon number 2. There's actually a male Gorgon. It's the demon Pazuzu, who is sometimes noted to be a Gorgon. But he is the Gorgon that, although in the movie and in different things, he actually is like a protector of humans, not really a oppressive anti-human spirit. The humans in the old times would call on him to attack these fucking like Liliths and these Lamashtus, which would kill babies when they're young. They would kill the babies in the cribs and different shit. And it's not completely accurate to say this is like sudden infant death and this was the prior times and just how they psychologically dealt with it, because that's not accurate at all. That may play into it, no doubt, but there is definitely something going on there, and it's not very hard to start getting it to be the case, as you can find out. So if you want to label the ancestors, who I'll invoke right now, and call upon them and give them thanks for, giving us the DNA experience that their lives and their toils had brought to us to this current time, sends a message down that DNA of what they experienced through our body too, in a genetic sort of memory. So I'm going to just play a little more of this guy after I save this section, of course. You got to do that now. The app demands it. Now I've got my face back. All right. Welcome back. So this is section 2. Thunder Wizard's on.
No empathy. They look at you, they can't see you, but their gaze, if they gaze upon you, they will destroy you without any, not only, they won't be angry, they won't be happy, they will have no feeling about it. They're the worst kind of monster, the sociopath.
Yeah.
So Perseus represents the ability to defeat psychopathic derangement. Now, I am of the belief that the reptilian elites are, in fact,
behind it,
extreme sociopaths.
Yeah.
To be able to do what they're doing. I can't talk about it on this channel. So, by the way, if you want to hear me talk uncensored, you can go to my other platforms, which is bitshoot.com, bitchute.com, and then you look for thunderwizard.com. You can also go to odyssey.com, odyssee.com.
Now, see, Thunder Wizard didn't believe it early on. He really did have the successful too, because once he started to pull the whole thread of the thing, he thought he moved to damn, I don't know what his deal is with Trump, other than to say, because he said he was messing up shit. Whatever, I'm not going to polarize him into the Biden-Trump thing, but I kind of am, because I'm sure he can tell this Biden shit ain't legit. But he's already left the country and gone to Australia, which ironically didn't work out. Australia's pretty fucking monstrous. The shit he says he has to do just to move around, it's fucking horrible. And, I mean, honestly, we know what's going on with this whole thing. Ireland's has a town called Waterford. It's like 97.5% vaccinated, and it's got ungodly numbers, higher than any other place in that country. And you got the same situation happening with Israel, which is almost 100% too. So what's going on? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. It's not about what you're being told. And the fact they're not coming off of that information, I mean, they're steadily having to admit what is obviously having to be admitted to by, like, you're not going to get the vaccination and be able to think that you're not going to contract the disease. It doesn't protect you from that. It has some levels of protection, but you have to see their numbers, and it's false advertising, number one, because they didn't, used to be, you get the chickenpox vaccine and you don't get chickenpox. You get the measles vaccine and you don't get the measles. But the reason why that's not the case is because it's gene therapy. It's experimental. But whatever. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, and I didn't tell anybody to do or not do anything. So, I can say what is. And if I'm removed and lose my whole channel, that's the risk that I take. Because they would have to actually take it and destroy it by deception. Because I didn't advise anybody to do shit. I'm just telling you the same exact shit that's been through the same channels of YouTube that I watch for these things. So, take it what you want. These are the times we live in. But if you do find the thread or the place to shine your light, you'll find a triple beam comes from that light into the area of your destiny to shine light. You're going to get a tripler effect. It wasn't always just magic that has, oh, it's ×3 if it comes back on you. You get the ×3 if it's good on shining the light. Anyway, like, share, subscribe.